Have you ever wondered what YouTube's secret to profitable growth in any business would be? I wasn't actually thinking about it at all. But today I'm on day 27 of a 30-day YouTube challenge. And this week I'm just focusing on doing videos that YouTube tells me to do. Today's video happens to be the secret of profitable growth in any business. So looking at my channel and the videos that I made, YouTube decided that I would be great at giving this advice. And it turns out I actually do know how to give advice for all 5 of these topics. It's a fascinating layout that they've given me. It's basically a blueprint. And it has to do with getting your mind in the right place, getting your finances in the right place, targeting up your marketing plan, focusing on your customers, and then once you have all of that in place, you scale for success. Literally, YouTube gave me 2 pages with notes on what to talk about. And that's what I'm going to talk about in this video today. So let's start talking about YouTube's secret for success for any business. Secret number 1, the growth mindset. The very first topic that YouTube outlined for me is called the growth mindset. And the 3 bullet points it gave me is why profitable growth matters, the pitfalls of uncontrolled growth, the power of strategic planning. I immediately read that and knew what I was going to talk about. I was going to talk about real estate. What is my experience with real estate? Well, back in 2006 to 2008, my father had gotten into real estate and he basically taught me everything he knew about it. On top of that, he had access to all of the real estate agent information, and he basically taught me everything he knew. In that few-year period when he was a real estate agent, he ended up buying more than $2 million worth of property, all of which was largely ghettos in Bakersfield. The reason he invested in these ghettos in Bakersfield was 2-part. One was that they weren't very expensive, and they would get an instant positive cash flow with the loans that he was getting. The second reason that he bought them is because basically they had Section 8 housing on them, and it was guaranteed income from the government. He didn't have to worry about the renters not paying him. He was new to real estate. He didn't really consider the other factors that could go into actually renting out ghettos. Now during this time, it was great for real estate. They had all of these easy loans that you could get where you wouldn't have to pay anything but interest for 5 years, and then after 5 years you were supposed to do a huge balloon payment in order to keep your property. So my dad's thought was, I'm going to buy up all this property. I'm going to rake in all this positive cash flow. The market is on the up. And as soon as it's time to do that balloon payment, I'm just going to sell the property. And then I'm going to cash in on the equity and I get to keep all of that positive cash flow. Great plan, right? Except for the fact that the bubble was about to burst. And there were a lot of people that were predicting that this real estate bubble was about to burst, but my dad thought that he could get out before it did. And the truth was, he did get out, but not in the way that he thought he would. He actually ended up passing away in 2008, right as the market had turned upside down. He talked me into buying real estate at that time too. He taught me everything he knew about real estate, and it was a lot of information. It wasn't just your average buy a house type of information. It was investing in real estate like a professional investor. And when he passed away, I had well over $1 million worth of property, and I hadn't bought ghettos. I had bought properties that had very, very small positive cash flows because I didn't want to worry about terrible renters. When he passed away, I suddenly found myself looking at everything that I owned and looking at all of his properties that I had to deal with. And I thought, why did I get into this game in the first place? I never actually wanted into this game. I actually ended up getting out, and not in the nice, easy way, because since the market had turned upside down, you could not sell these properties for what you owed them for. We took a really big hit on our credit, and we learned a very valuable lesson about the growth mindset back then. The first lesson that I actually learned is that when I get back into the real estate game, I am not going to be as aggressive as I was before. Instead, I am going to create a strategic plan. Years later, we decided we wanted to go ahead and start getting into real estate again, but we were going to do it different this time. The plan was basically that we would buy a property and we would make sure that we could afford to pay it without any other income coming in. Then once that property was paid down enough, refinanced, whatever, then we would look at buying a second property as long as we could also afford to pay that mortgage. Then we would put renters in that one, and whatever that renter gave plus whatever money we could give, we would use to pay off that second property. Then we would look at, can we afford to buy a third property? The conservative plan was to pay both properties off and then use both incomes to buy a third property and pay that off faster, and then just keep repeating that process. That is the simple strategic plan for real estate if you want to grow safely. I believe most investors, when they get in, they grow aggressively. And If you're okay with it growing aggressively, that's on you. There's a lot of risk with that. But I really feel like if you want to have profitable growth in a business, you need to just assume that the risk that you're taking is going to blow up in your face. Because if you assume that it's going to blow up in your face, you're going to have a backup plan. So I would say that for the growth mindset, the best thing that you can do is to make a plan that's conservative and safe and only push that risk factor when you believe you have a backup plan. Secret number 2, financial foundations. The next secret is for financial foundations, and the 3 bullet points that YouTube gave me was to understand your numbers, build a solid financial framework, and fund your growth, which I can definitely agree with. And the notes that I put on this was the millionaire mindset versus the small business mindset. Now, if you're listening to the millionaires and the CEOs and the people that are making millions upon millions and even billions of dollars, they're basically going to tell you not to worry about cutting expenses, just focus on increasing revenue. This does not apply to most small businesses. And the reason it doesn't apply to most small businesses is because most small businesses are locked into a market, they're locked into a specific location. And so the customers that they have access to is much smaller than somebody who is working on a millionaire, billionaire type of scale. Now, if you don't know this about me, in my 20s, I started my own business doing bookkeeping for small businesses, and I saw the numbers. I know how much the small business owners struggled. And the best recommendation that I can make to them as their bookkeeper was to cut expenses first. That's something that you can do immediately. And the easiest way to cut expenses is to look at what is not selling in your business. If there's something that's not selling in your business or it's just selling a little bit, cut it. You might think I'm crazy for saying that, but think about what happened during COVID. What happened with all of these giant franchises that we were all eating at, like Taco Bell and Starbucks and McDonald's. What did they all do? Because they knew that things were going to tighten up, they eliminated things from their menu. Taco Bell eliminated the Mexican pizza during the COVID years. I remember that because that was my favorite thing to eat and it was gone. Starbucks, my favorite drink was the sugar-free mocha frappuccino, because they had sugar-free chocolate, but they cut it during the COVID year and they have not brought it back. That's what you need to do. I believe it's truly hard for small business owners when they have created a business and they have carefully hand-selected every single thing that has to do with that business, every item that they sell from that business. They develop an attachment to the things that they chose to implement into that business, whether you're a restaurant and it's foods that you wanted to serve, or you're a retail store and it's a product that you want to sell, or it's a service business and it's a service that you want to offer. These are the types of businesses that are limited by their location. The best thing I can tell you to do is you need to become ruthless. Yes, this business is your baby. Yes, you hand-selected things, but the things that aren't working, you need to consider them flops and you need to cut them. That's going to cut your expenses and it's going to increase your profits right away. You can also cut expenses by changing your hours of operation. You might need to cut some employees that aren't working out. You do need to be serious when you analyze where your business is at and look at what you can cut so you can increase your profits. That may sound ruthless to you, but that's what big businesses do in order to survive. Whenever they know that any big change is coming into their business, they look at what is making the smallest amount of profit for their business and they cut it, whether that's an employee or whether that's a product. So be ruthless and be willing to start making cuts in your business so that you can increase your profits. And that'll give you more income to start exploring options that will actually bring in more revenue. That's how you shift from small business mindset to big business mindset. Because the more money you can bring in, the more money you can save up, the more money you will have to take your business to the next level, whatever that next level is for your business. Secrets number 3, marketing mastery. So the 3 bullet points that YouTube gave me for marketing mastery are to target the right audience, leverage your digital marketing strategies, and build your brand loyalty. This cracks me up because these 3 topics I literally have just made videos for in the last 26 days. The very first week of my 30-day YouTube challenge, I did 5 or 6 videos all about the loyalty programs that big businesses use to lock in their customers' loyalty. I would start with this video right here if you're interested in knowing what that is. There's so many options to lock in your customers' loyalty. If you don't have one in place, you are totally missing out on a fantastic opportunity, because the more customers come back, the more money you make. People are always focusing on the new customer, but they often forget that the old customer, the customer that's returning, that's the one that's actually going to make you more money in the long haul. targeting the right audience, that's another something I talk about. As a market and financial feasibility researcher, demographics is the first thing that we look at for any project, any business, no matter what size and that location, because you need to know who is actually in your market, especially if you're a small business who is limited by a location. You need to know who's in your market so that you can shift your strategy to actually targeting those customers. If you are in an area that is largely a Mexican community and you have a Mexican restaurant, it's going to be hard for you to sell most foods to them from your restaurant because of the fact that they can often make it cheaper and better at home, and they probably have recipes that have been passed down generation to generation. Instead, what you would have to do is switch your particular products to something that they wouldn't make as often. For example, tamales. Tamales is one of those meals that takes a whole day to make. So you would be looking at products like that in order to sell to them. Otherwise, you might want to shift out of being in the Mexican restaurant completely. Knowing who the customers are in your market is key to creating a marketing plan that's going to work for you, but also creating an inventory that's actually going to sell. Because if you don't know who's in your market, you're going to buy the wrong things, and those things are not going to sell, and you will take a loss on them. Finally, leveraging digital marketing strategies. In yesterday's video here, I actually talked about the mistakes that businesses make with their social media marketing. And one of that is letting your social media pages go dead. The other is not actually picking up your local SEO profile with things like Google Profile and Yelp first. So those items are the things that I would say fall under marketing mastery. Secret number 4, the customer-centric approach. This is actually a topic I have been wanting to make, and again, I've already made some of these videos, but the 3 bullet points that YouTube has given me for this particular one, the customer-centric approach, is to deliver exceptional value, build a strong customer relationship, and cultivate word-of-mouth marketing. That pretty much falls under the marketing mastery secret right there, because again, social media can actually help you with cultivating word-of-mouth marketing, building a strong customer relationship, so easy to do with loyalty programs, but finally delivering exceptional value. That's the one that I haven't made a video on yet, and I've been thinking about how to make it. This says specifically, focus on providing high-quality products or services that solve your customers' problems and exceed their expectations. I call this specializing. The internet world calls it niche marketing. If you don't know what your specialty is for your business, you're basically missing out. One of the videos that I wanted to do, and it's a restaurant that I've been wanting to do in the Business Mistake series. It's a mistake because they sell hot dogs, pizza, hamburgers, tacos, seafood, catfish, tamales. They have a hot dog on their sign, but the restaurant looks like it's Mexican themed, and then they give free fries with every order, and none of the food goes together. The problem with that is people don't know what to buy when they get there. The reason this is important is because it will actually end up tanking their reviews. A lot of customers, when they go to a restaurant or a business and they've searched it from Google Maps will prompt them for a review. And if the customer gets to that particular restaurant and orders something and it's not as fantastic as they hoped it would be, then they're not going to review it. But if there was a specialty there and they ordered the specialty and they agreed that this is definitely the best thing that this restaurant has to offer, they're going to up that review. And by upping that review, that's basically kind of advertising for the restaurant to other customers that might potentially come in there. Again, most businesses make the mistake of simply chasing the new customers and never considering the return customers. But really your goal as a business should make the new customers into returning customers. And of course, creating a loyalty program is one step in doing that. Cultivating word-of-mouth marketing, that can be done through the review system and through social media. But really, whatever you think your specialty is for your business, whether you're a restaurant, retail, service business, that's the one thing that you should let people know about. If they order that first and they're so impressed with how you made it, and maybe it's one of those things that gives you a huge profit, or maybe it's very, very easy for you to make, or maybe it's something that's incredibly useful to your customers, that kind of product is going to open the door for you to sell them other products that you have. So make sure you know what your specialty is and make sure you put that front and center in your business, whether that's offering it as free samples at your restaurant, putting it on an end cap or a table in your retail business, or just marketing it on the side of your van if you're a service business. Secret number 5, scaling for success. Finally, we have come to the last tip that YouTube has recommended for growing a profitable business. And there are 3 bullet points, 2 of which I've already made videos for in the last 30 days. The 3 points are developing a scalable business model, building a high-performing team, and embracing continuous improvement. Now, these are the 2 videos I've already made. The first one is about how to use big business tips to train your employees. The second one is about how you need to refresh your business periodically. It's quite simply just because customers like things that are new. The more things change, the more they're interested in coming back. That's one of the reasons why a lot of theme parks will often lose a lot of people, because even though it's fun to ride on all these roller coasters, once you've done it a few dozen times, it gets really boring. Do you know what I mean? The third one, developing a scalable business model. That kind of goes hand in hand with the employee training program and the refresh. If you really want your business to grow and go to the next level, you need to create a model for your business that is going to be something that can be replicated. And keep in mind that if you replicate it and you franchise, you put your business somewhere else, you will have to look at what that market is, because your business working in this market may not work in this market over here. If you can figure out how to make this business in this market work here with everything perfect, and then this model can be duplicated in this different market with different people, then you have a scalable business. If it can't work over here because the demographics don't match up, then you need to look at this model again and see what can be adapted. You want to make sure that your customer service training program is in place, because you don't want the customer experience over here to be completely different at your new location or your 3rd or your 4th or your 5th location. So you definitely want to make sure that that's in place. And you want to be able to adapt that business regularly, because again, the more you can change your business, the more you can embrace innovation, and the more you can keep learning and optimizing your business, the more you're going to get the customers to return, which should be your goal as a business. The takeaway. Looking at all of these tips again, I can see the blueprint that YouTube has laid out for us. And it's actually quite interesting. What they're saying is that first, you have to get your head in the right place and make a plan. Are you going to be chasing the millionaire mindset, or are you just going to be trying to save your business? Because those are 2 very different plans. The millionaire mindset, again, is increasing revenue, which may not be applicable to a small business atmosphere. You want to cut expenses, and you want to focus on creating a business that can be scaled and duplicated. So those are 2 different mindsets completely. Again, the second one too is the financial foundation. You need to make sure you get all of your ducks in a row. You need to make sure that you increase your profit margin by cutting things that aren't working, whether that's inventory, whether that's employees, whether that's customers, because let's face it, sometimes customers can be real jerks. Basically, building your foundation and your framework so that you're getting a consistent profit margin before you move on to the next step. Once you've got that in place, then you want to start marketing it. And then when you market it, you're going to target specific customers based on the demographics that are in your area, especially if you have a physical location. If you're actually online, it's a whole different ballpark. Once you've got the marketing in place, then as the customers walk in your door, you need to make a plan to keep them coming back. That's the goal, returning customers versus focusing on just new customers. If you get new customers, awesome. How can you turn them into returning customers? Loyalty programs, specializing, social media, making a community, getting them involved. Check out the videos that I've done on that, because that'll definitely help you. Then when you got all of that in place, now you have a business model, and you just need to make sure that you tighten it up. You want to get rid of all the problems, and you want to make sure it's solid and will work with any demographic, not just the one that you found it in, but particular any market, because you could just move that particular business 10 miles away and have completely different demographic. And if it's going to work in both markets, then you also want to see if it can work in other markets. And if it's working in 2 completely different markets, then you know you've got something that you can scale up even more and make more franchises, more money. And that's when you switch from the small business mindset to the millionaire mindset. Question of the day. My question of the day for you is simply this. Where's your mind at? Are you thinking you want to grow your business like a millionaire, or are you thinking you just want to take your small business to the next level, maybe franchise it, maybe turn this business idea into $1 million one day? Like, where are you at right now? I would love to know. Put your answer in the comments below. Also, if you found any of this information helpful and you would like more information on demographics and competition and other things you can do to grow your small business, please make sure you hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. Also, if you liked the video, please make sure to hit that like button for me, because it will help me grow. And I do want to share this with as many small business owners as I can. Tomorrow, I'm going to do another video that YouTube tells me to do, because I'm so close to my day 30, and I just want to see what following YouTube's advice will get me. So come back to see what YouTube tells me to do tomorrow. And for now, ciao.